Let's do a show today, I guess. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining me. Thanks for your patience. I hope I just burned off the internet, whatever I had going on there in the first couple of minutes of the show. You test everything, you think you got everything worked out, and no! This technology has a wonderful way of, humbling you. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Also, don't forget about our great friends over there at the Game Time app. What a weekend it was. The Eagles started things off right Friday night, kicking off the season with a victory in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Looked like an absolute party down there. The field was absolute trash. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I was over there with our friend Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn, not over in Brazil. We were over at Parks Casino having ourselves a good time doing a little pre- and post-game action. And the entire time, it's like, this is the Super Bowl. This feels like the Super Bowl 2 years ago where the players are just slipping and sliding all over the place. It was awful. And Derek Gunn reached out to his dear friend Brandon Graham to come on the post-game show. And Brandon Graham was talking about how they were immediately going back to the Super Bowl in their minds and trying to correct the mistake of the spikes that they wore. They were switching out their spikes. They were trying to make sure they could get proper footing as the game went on, and that was terrible. But everything else, for the most part, was great. The turnovers bothered the hell out of me. There's a lot of things to take away from that game, and there's a lot of positive things to take away from the Eagles season opener. Number one, the fact that they won. They're 1-0. That's a lot better than 0-1 to start the season. The other is Saquon Barkley. The other after that is Zach Bond. Looks like a linebacker. That's fun. And Jalen Hurts threw a couple of dimes and then made a couple horrendous decisions. One on the first possession of the game. And then the other in the red zone in the start of the fourth quarter. Might have been the worst possession I've ever seen from Jalen Hurts. Like, just in terms of the end of that possession, I should really be more specific. The end of that possession, where for whatever reason they made the option, they called the RPO. Jalen Hurts almost threw an interception. Then they ran an RPO. Then he did throw an interception. So it was like 3 plays in a row that were just dumb. One, you could go in between there with the RPO. You could talk about how that's just a dumb play call. It could be just a dumb decision by Jalen Hurts. But I want to say this. I am a big Jalen Hurts fan, and I want Jalen Hurts to be the quarterback in Philadelphia for a decade. And I want him to be incredible, and I want the Eagles to win a lot of Super Bowls with him, and I even want him to win an MVP award and then go on that same year to win a Super Bowl because that's when it really counts, But watching Jalen Hurts in the first series and the first series of the fourth quarter, I could do without that. That was pretty terrible. I would very much like to see Jalen Hurts not make those mistakes. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because that was haunting, and it reminded me way too much of last year. So we'll get to that. We'll also get to the Phillies, who on Friday night, when the Eagles were winning in Brazil, the Phillies were in Miami, and they were winning 16-2, 16-4, whatever. They scored 16 runs. And then for the final 2 games of the series, when the Eagles weren't playing, the Philadelphia Phillies lost 19-6. They just all of a sudden forgot how to play baseball. And I know Seth Johnson was out there making his big league debut, and good for him, but that went kind of terrible. And then they went down by a huge majority, 10-0, as a matter of fact. And then it just looked like nobody wanted to play baseball anymore. Kyle Schwarber got doubled off of first base. Bryce Harper didn't run out. It was a double. It should have been a triple, and then he should have scored a run. And I know it's nitpicky here, but someone actually described it really well in the comments after the game on the Phillies postcast that I do. And they're just like, it doesn't matter. It's a competitive game, and you can't stand to see your team not be competitive in a competitive game. Like, you still want to win baseball games, but as soon as this team goes down, they just don't have any more fight in them. Unless they have Kyle Schwarber hitting 3 home runs like they did in the game they were down 6-1 against the Blue Jays on this road trip. And that's the other thing. On this road trip, they were set up to go 6-0 on the 6-game road trip. And then for games 5 and 6, they're just like, meh, we don't need to play baseball anymore. And I know Aaron Nola was terrible. Really labored through his start. but the bats didn't do much to pick him up in his start. And then you have a young kid out there. Well, kid, he's 26 years. He's going to be 26 years old in 2 weeks, but he's making his big league debut. You would think that some of the bats in this lineup would go, let's pick this kid up. Let's get it. And I know that they had reserves in there. So there's big Garcia behind the plate, obviously. But just to name one. But you would expect it still with Bryce Harper in the lineup. You would expect it still with Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, Bryson Stott. You would still expect those guys. And Brandon Marsh, who's been swinging a hot bat as of late. You would expect those guys to go out there and do something. No. Instead, Schwarber gets doubled off. Bryce Harper thinks he hit a home run, his first one in a month. He did not. It bounced off the top of the wall. Should have been on third. Should have scored a run. I just don't like seeing this team just give up. And it seems like at the end of road trips, the one that really jumps out to me is the one in Arizona at the end of that road trip. It just looked like, get me on the flight, get me home. I can't deal with this anymore. That's what it felt like. But we'll get into the Phillies. Good Lord. And we'll also get into that Tyreek Hill situation. Originally, it was said that he was arrested. He was just handcuffed. I think, is that still technically detained, not arrested? I think that's still technically detained. He could be detained for like a minute and then still whatever. But not arrested. Like he wasn't taken to jail and processed and all that stuff. That was just absolutely bonkers. And then a couple hours later, he's scoring an 80-yard touchdown. That was insane in the NFL yesterday. The Cowboys signed Dak Prescott to an unprecedented deal, which is just insane. And I know I enjoy it. You enjoy it. And we'll all enjoy the Cowboys being relevant during the regular season and then being terrible. So this is what we get to enjoy. Thanks, Jerry Jones. We'll get to that conversation and so much more. But let's start it off with your Philadelphia Eagles because football season is underway. I hope you guys had a wonderful first football Sunday, checking your fantasy lineups and all that stuff. I know I did. But when it comes to this Philadelphia Eagles team, they got their season started on Friday. And Friday night, we were on the postgame show, Seth Joyner and I and Derek Gunn. And we're breaking it down. And if you want to catch that show, you can catch it on the Seth Joyner YouTube channel, Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel. You can also catch it across your social media platforms, 6abc.com. But we're watching the game. And as the game's going on, there's some real big things that jump out at me. And the first thing is Saquon Barkley. Like, of all the things, like, I expected Saquon Barkley to be good. When I talked to you guys on Friday before the game, my big thing was Saquon Barkley. I can't wait to see Saquon Barkley. I can't wait to see what Saquon Barkley does for this Philadelphia Eagles offense. You know what Saquon Barkley did for this Philadelphia Eagles offense? Everything. He might not have been everything to the offense. I was impressed with the offensive line. I was impressed by what you saw from, obviously, A.J. Brown at 119 yards, and I haven't heard anyone mention it. Like, that's how good Saquon Barkley was. As I mentioned, you see Jalen Hurts throw a couple of dimes, including the dimes he was throwing to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert getting involved. And the wheel route throw to Saquon Barkley was beautiful. But the guy who was the headliner who stole the show was Saquon Barkley. You brought in that much talent. And what I kept thinking of in Saquon Barkley, and what I kept thinking of with Howie Roseman, bringing him into the offseason, was he's not signing a running back. For everyone that wants to talk about, you can't give a running back that much money, you're crazy and all that stuff. For all the people that want to talk about signing the running back, Howie Roseman broke it down very simply and said, we're not signing a running back, we're signing a weapon. And that's exactly what you did. You signed a great offensive weapon in Saquon Barkley. An incredible offensive weapon in Saquon Barkley. And yeah, like most of you, I want to dance a jig in front of Giants fans to show how amazingly, incredibly excited I am that Saquon Barkley is going to be running and catching footballs for this Philadelphia Eagles offense. He just blew me away. I mean, it brought me back to the days of T.O. When for me, T.O. being signed by the Philadelphia Eagles and playing with Donovan McNabb and watching that all come together, that was the biggest thrill. They actually went out there. They got the big name guy at the position that they so desperately needed. And now they go after Saquon Barkley. They bring in Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley is just as good, if not better, than advertised. And I had so much fun seeing all the tweets come up talking about, the Eagles made a big mistake. Saquon, what's he going to do? He's going to get injured. He's going to be terrible. Oh, Saquon's terrible. He's overrated. Oh, my God. And you can ball that up and stick it where the sun don't shine. The wheel route was fantastic. Executed to perfection. Huge runs in this game, obviously. The 2 touchdown runs were great. And what was really fantastic was just the fact that you had a closer. And one of my big things throughout all of last year with the Eagles was their inability to close out games and scratch and claw and not control games. That was my big thing. Even when they're winning, and that's throughout the year. The biggest thing was their collapse at the end of the year, but really throughout the season, my biggest thing was that they very rarely controlled games. This was a tight game. This was a back and forth, nobody's punting type game for a while. Haymakers, each offense is throwing haymakers at the other. It was incredible in that regard. But in the fourth quarter, I didn't feel like the Eagles were scratching and clawing to be in this game. I felt like the Eagles were holding on to this game and putting the Packers away and closing it out thanks to the amazing talent of Saquon Barkley. That's what it felt like. That was a security. Saquon Barkley felt like a security blanket in that fourth quarter. Like, hey, look, this isn't going to be one where they're just going to eke out a victory. They're going to own this victory. Now, again, it was a close game. But in that fourth quarter, I'm just talking about the feeling I had was different than the feeling I had through the majority of last season. It was like, through last year, I was like, oh, God, are they going to win this? And yesterday, or Friday, it was, they got this. And the reason that I was like, they got this was because of Saquon Barkley. So Saquon Barkley was above and beyond the number one guy. I expected it, and he delivered. Number two, the second guy I look at, Zach Bond. Oh, my God. And this is a guy that is playing with New Orleans. He barely cracks through the special teams. And then all of a sudden he gets here to Philadelphia. People are like, Zach Ball's got a real chance to be an outside linebacker in this Philadelphia Eagles team. And I'm like, really? I mean, that desperate at the linebacker position where all of a sudden the special teams guy is going to be the guy? And oh my goodness gracious, he came out yesterday, it was Friday, and he was the guy. Absolutely incredible. Zach Bond had 15 total tackles in this game, all right? 15 total tackles. He had 16 total tackles. He had 30 tackles in all of last year with the New Orleans Saints. He got halfway there in one game. 2 sacks. Both the Eagles sacks came courtesy of Zach Bond. And he was all over the place. And anytime you were watching the Eagles on defense and the play would end, either Zach Bond was there making the play end or he was around the football when the play ended. It was absolutely insane. Of all the guys who I would have been like, I don't know about this guy, going in. If you were to tell me who's going to be the breakout star on defense, I would have probably went, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's going to be great. He ended up missing a big tackle, but still, I thought played a lot better than what most people are giving credit for because of that huge open field tackle. And I know he took to Twitter and told everyone, I'd like to see you guys come out and tackle. Really? I laugh so hard. I enjoy when people say, even to me, if I criticize Nick Castellanos or criticize Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or whoever, people are like, I'd like to see you go out there and do it. Like, really? You want to see me, someone who is not anything close to a professional athlete, you want to see me do it? I'm sure you have better things to do with your time. But anyway, he missed that tackle, but I thought he'd be the breakout star. You could talk about guys. Maybe Bryce Huff will show us something. Showed us nothing. Maybe Nakobe Dean is just getting after and he had himself a good game. Sure, not perfect, but a good game. But the guy, or Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter? No, Zach Bond is the guy that goes out there and shows you what a linebacker can do in this defense. Okay. Hey, look, I don't care who does it as long as somebody does it. And he went out there and he did it. And Vic Fangio, aggressive? We're not supposed to use the word aggressive when it comes to Vic Fangio and his defense overall. And he was using Zach Bond as a missile. I'm so impressed. Absolutely impressed by what I saw from Zach Bond. And then there's something else. Again, this comes with love. I say this with love. And I know when you criticize a quarterback, and here's what I really hated about the Carson Wentz era. When Carson Wentz really started to decline, and you would acknowledge it, people were so already invested in Carson Wentz that you couldn't say anything. Like, I remember one time he missed, I'm blanking on his name. He doesn't wear shoes now. Zach Holland? What the hell is that kid's name? I'm blanking on his name. Somebody help me out in the chat. Anyway, I'm watching I remember watching the Eagles with Carson Wentz, and he missed a throw in the end zone, and I just acknowledged that he missed the throw. And people are like, quarterbacks miss throws. And I'm like, yeah, but he's your franchise quarterback now. Mac Hollins. Thank you, handsome hustler 88. He missed Mac Hollins in the end zone on an opening drive. And I remember just acknowledging it. Dynamic, thank you. Dynamic Prodigy, thank you. I remember just acknowledging that he missed the throw. I'm like, you're a franchise quarterback now. You can't miss that throw. It's an opening drive. You got to be clutch. That's the time when push comes to shove. You got to make that throw. Hey, you can't. Quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks miss throws. Right? You can't. Quarterbacks, Carson Wentz. And it was like, but he's your franchise guy now. This is a big thing. Can't do that. And people got so pissy about it. So, this comes with love when it comes to Jalen Hurts, because mentally, I really like Jalen Hurts. I like him a lot more than I like Carson Wentz. The mental toughness is the biggest thing there that really shines through. And he missed throws in this game. He made dumb decisions in this game. The first possession of the game, you're backed up against your own end zone, and it's a third down play, and he decides to air it out down the middle of the field. Underthrown drastically. He kept two things. I don't even know who the color analyst was for the broadcast, but he kept on using the term. He threw this late, and yeah, he threw it late. But if he throws it late but throws it far, which he didn't, then you get maybe you even get points out of it. Maybe you get whatever it would have been, like a 94-yard touchdown pass or 96-yard touchdown pass, whatever it would have been. But he underthrew the football. He threw it late, but he got it off. That wasn't the lead in that story. The story is that he underthrew that pass drastically. Then second to that is that why? Why would he throw that football deep down the middle of the field? Why would he even throw that? Either try to step up in the pocket, either try to check it down, because that ain't the throw. At that point, man, just put your offense in a better position to at least be able to punt the football. Put your special teams unit in a better position to punt that football. And then thirdly, I'd look at the idea that, it was thrown late. But it was just a stupid decision. It was a bad throw, underthrown, and shouldn't have done it anyway. That obviously bothered me. The second thing was on the very next possession, when turnovers are supposed to be not a thing anymore. They're going to coach these turnovers. They're going to coach it out of Jalen Hurts. He and Cam Jurgens are not on the same page. And Cam Jurgens snaps the football to Jalen Hurts in shotgun prematurely, and it ends up in a fumble and a turnover. They get the two of them on the sideline, and it didn't look heated. It looked animated. Like heated would be a little too much. You know what I mean? But animated is definitely the way. But there was definitely strong opinions being said. Jalen, after the game, took full responsibility for everything that went down there. Blah, 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 blah. But that was just awful. A horrible, no good, very bad look for the Philadelphia Eagles and outcome. Jalen, of course, as I mentioned, was throwing. After that, you saw incredible defense because you saw what the Packers take over at the Eagles 19, the Packers take over on the Eagles 16, and field goals. Defense held in the field goals. Phenomenal job, Vic Fangio and the defense in that scenario. Then Jalen looked like Jalen, the MVP Jalen. You see, again, the dime that he threw to Saquon Barkley in the wheel route. You see the dime that he threw to A.J. Brown for that incredible, 70-yard touchdown reception. That, to me, is what I needed to see from Jalen Hurts above all else. But here's my problem. I know Jalen Hurts can do that stuff because there's haters out there that look at Jalen Hurts and be like, oh, he's not accurate, or he holds on to the ball too long all the time, and this is his problem. No. The problem is turnovers. And we can all agree that the problem is turnovers, decision-making in that, and that's what leads to turnovers. But when he's on, which is more often than not, and what I'm expecting more often than not this season from Jalen Hurts in this new offense with the weapon that he has now in Saquon Barkley, how that's going to open up everything else. What I saw from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown in this game, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, that's what I expect to see from Jalen Hurts as the season goes on. More of that. What I need less of, and what I was hoping to learn in this game, is that the turnovers, thing of the past. The idea of potentially throwing 15 interceptions that he did last year, not going to happen. He had 2 in this game. And it's not just that there were 2 interceptions. It's that there were 2 dumb interceptions. such better ideas on the field. And it was like the telegraphing of, I think it was A.J. Brown at the top of the screen, where he almost threw his second interception of the game in the same possession. He ended up throwing the second interception of the game. But it was just a dumb decision. Bad throw, bad decision. He got away with one. It was dropped. I think it was Jair Alexander dropped it. And you get, okay, fine. You keep your life. You're still in the red zone. You're going to make some things happen here. Then they make the decision to try the RPO again. Stuffed. And then Jalen drops back to scramble all over the place. Has all day to throw because he's buying the time with his legs. And he points for A.J. Brown to go to the middle of the field, middle of the end zone. Jair Alexander is just like, I'll go right to the middle of the end zone. Pick! And that's that. Dude, this is the stuff that drove me banana sandwich last year with Jalen Hurts. And again, this is coming from someone who loves Jalen Hurts. But this is just inexcusable. How do you make that decision? You just have an opportunity there to throw the ball away, to just try to scramble for a couple of yards, whatever. Set up the field goal there in the fourth quarter. Instead, he throws the interception. That was not good. That was a not good decision. I want to make sure I have this series right. Let me look at my notes real quick. Because that was the order in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Man, Grant Calcaterra had the catch for you on that drive. Incomplete, A.J. Brown. Hurts gets stuffed for the 3-yard line. 2nd and 13, incomplete to Dotson. It was the only time that you saw Dotson. And it was dropped by Nixon, not Alexander, excuse me. And then Hurts on 3rd and 13. Hurts on 3rd and 13 threw that ball in the middle of the end zone. I mean, I know Jalen Hurts has it in him to, like, the thing I always point out with Jalen Hurts is, like, people talk about, oh, he's not that good and all that stuff. You need a quarterback, like the real haters. It's like, you know what gives me confidence Jalen Hurts can be an MVP quarterback? The fact that for the majority of his career as a starter, he's been an MVP caliber quarterback. Like, what are we talking about here? It's just bonkers to me. He was run. If he didn't get hurt in 2022 and missed 2 games, he would have been the MVP. Last year, he was the favorite, the betting favorite to be the MVP going into that San Francisco 49ers game. And then he wasn't anymore by, unfortunately, a pretty huge majority. And then we saw him play yesterday or Friday. Not MVP yesterday. But good Lord, what we saw from him was not great in those decisions. Overall in the game, he helped the team win. No question about it. Saquon Barkley was the star of the offense, which is fine. That's not at the detriment of Jalen Hurts. The turnovers and the decision-making, that's at the detriment of Jalen Hurts. He made 2 really bad decisions that he paid for, and he made a third one that he didn't have to pay for because Nixon dropped the ball. But other than that, I mean, the Eagles in this game, you have a situation in the fourth quarter where you just need to put up some points. And that interception was pretty terrible because Barkley in the previous possession had scored his second touchdown, made it 31-26. Then you turn the football over. They come back at a field goal after your interception. So again, despite the interception, despite turning the football over, your defense comes up and holds them to a field goal. It's 31-29, and then the Eagles come back with another field goal. The decision-making is what haunts me. And when I was talking to Seth Joyner about this after the game, we talked about the good that Jalen Hurts obviously had in the game. But when you look at just the decisions, like the thing I keep going back to is that I know how good Jalen Hurts can be. We all know how good he could be. Even if you're a hater, you know that he has runs in him that are pretty spectacular. But the haunting thing that will wake me up in cold sweats for the 10 days after the game, so now we got 1 week, is the idea of him making those decisions. And unfortunately having to pay big time for 2 of those 3 decisions. The the bad snap with him and Cam Jurgens, the premature snap, if you will, that's where preseason play obviously comes into mind. And I know I had some people tweet me, Ari, you're one of them. Thank you. Yeah, I think preseason would have been nice. And here's the thing: when you say play him in the preseason, people are like, "Oh, we're gonna get hurt." Blah, 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 blah. Oh, really? Is football difficult? Is football a rough sport? You don't say, right? Okay. Well, then maybe don't have him drop back to pass. Don't put him in peril. Have him get rid of the football quick. Because the only thing I wanted to see in the preseason was a series where Jalen Hurts hears Kellen Moore call the play. He lines up behind his brand new center in Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens snaps him the ball. Okay, rhythm. Hello. Nice to see you. Familiarity. Hi. Nice to see you. Chemistry. Nice to meet you. And you actually get to that experience in a game before you go to Brazil and have to play a game with your brand new center. It would have been nice to see a series. Fortunately, the Eagles defense, who played in the preseason, came out and they held him to field goals. Just a series. I don't need them to run their offense. I don't need Jalen Hurts to throw 20 passes. I don't need him to scramble. I don't need him to do anything that was done, in the days of me growing up watching the NFL and people playing in the preseason. Oh, the third preseason game, your starters. The third preseason game, your starters would play 3 quarters. Oh my God, you guys. They played 3 quarters in the preseason. I'm just asking for a series. Yeah. But, hey, the Eagles won. And not only did they win, they beat a team that could be a team they see in the NFC Championship game. Jordan Love, speedy recovery for him. Never root for injury, obviously. But going into this game, they played against a very good opponent in the Green Bay Packers, a team that came on strong as hell at the end of last season, a quarterback that came on strong as hell at the end of last season, and they also faced a team that is very well coached. Very well coached. And Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, with the exception of some plays there on the defensive side of things. For the most part, the defense kept you in this game when the offense was giving the football away. 3 turnovers, and they win this game. Thank you, Reed Blankenship, by the way, for getting it done as well. That was another guy. To see him come up with that interception was absolutely huge. To see Zach Bond, as I mentioned earlier, play the defense he was playing. Nakobe Dean stepping up and making plays for this team. Preventing a touchdown, filling a gap at the goal line. That was awesome. I found this team a lot of fun to watch. And the biggest dynamic change is, defensively speaking, watching these linebackers go out and eat in this game. For the most part, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson playing well with the exception of that missed tackle. And then offensively speaking, just the lift that Saquon Barkley provides you. I had a blast just watching Saquon. Just watching him just in the backfield before he even had the ball. Just what's he going to do? And they executed that wheel route to perfection. And there was one play design that I saw, and I think it was in the third quarter. No, I think it was in the second quarter. I think in the first half. And this made me go, Kellen Moore, good to see you. Everything's backwards with my setup today. There was one particular play with Will Shipley, of all people. How great was this? They line up Will Shipley in this slot to Jalen Hurts' right. And they put him in motion. Oh, God forbid, motion. They put him in motion with Devontae Smith. They run him to Devontae Smith's side of the football, near side of the screen, and Jalen Hurts is left. They run him left in motion, and that brings the linebacker into the shot. And then the linebacker has to wait to see if they run a running back screen with Will Shipley, which they don't, and they dump it over there to Devontae Smith for I think it was an 11-yard gain. And that's play design. One of the things we screamed about last year was scheming guys open. Can you scheme guys open? Can we get Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni to scheme guys open? And the answer every time was no. No, the guys just have to get open in their own. They have to win their one-on-one battles. That's how they're going to get open. That particular play was scheming someone open. That was scheming Devontae Smith open. That was a beautiful thing. I watched that 10 times. I just kept replaying it. And when I got home, went to the DVR. I'm like, let me see that play again. Yep, that's a beautiful thing. That's good coaching. That's a good scheme. That's a good game plan. For the people that always argue, people don't argue result, or people don't argue about the play. They argue about the result. If that play would have been an incompletion, I would have loved that play. Absolutely would have loved that play. Because that's a great play design. I mean, great play design. It's very basic. Compared to what you were doing last year, it's a great play design. Let me qualify. Because I said even in this game, Kellen Moore versus an inexperienced defensive coordinator who was a head coach in college and coached the defensive backs at various places in the NFL. I think he had 3 different stops, halfway before being with the BC and then now with Green Bay as the defensive coordinator. I said on Friday's show, it's going to be experience versus inexperience. How much is that going to matter for Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore pantsed him on that particular play. Loved to see that. Some other guys that deserve some honorable mentions here. I mentioned Devontae Smith, even though his counterpart there, A.J. Brown, had 119 yards through the air. I mentioned Kenny Gainwell had 2 touches in this game. Didn't see a lot from him. Kellen Moore definitely deserves a shout out. Vic Fangio's defense in all deserves a shout out. For the people that thought Vic Fangio isn't aggressive, Vic Fangio had this to say. Ugh. Thank you. We're going to try to work it in every show. Can't wait for Father's Day to come back around. Ugh. That helps me get my Monday started off right. Before I talk about the Phillies. When we talk about the Phillies, that's going to be played a lot. Oh, my God. You guys. Miss Scoozy. How dare I? How dare I? I'm going to go ahead and blame the morning's early technical difficulties on the reason I haven't mentioned this guy's name yet. So Isaiah Rodgers gets ruled out. Okay. So what are the Eagles going to do? Are the Eagles going to have Quinyon Mitchell bounce out to the outside? Are they going to bring in Avonte Max to play slot? What are the Eagles going to do? Game starts, and you have Quinyon Mitchell announced as a starter. So the broadcast rolls out the starters, and they Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo, and Quinyon Mitchell gets announced as a starter. Okay. And then he goes on to have a spectacular debut. Spectacular debut. Quinyon Mitchell showed off his physicality. He showed off his quickness. He showed off his speed. Showed off his smarts. I was blown away by what I saw from Quinyon Mitchell in his Philadelphia Eagles debut. And that's one of those things that you just want to go back and you want to watch the highlights of, because every single time his number was called, he was at least there to make the play, or most of the time made the play. Balls are in the receiver's hands. He's knocking them out. Receivers on a comeback route. He is there every step of the way like he's running the route. He's not biting on play action. He's holding his ground. Perfect? No. There was 1 or 2 things where maybe the guy's got to step on him. But other than that, he was spectacular. And if that's the start of Quinyon Mitchell's career, then we are in for a treat. Because what you saw from him was a whole gambit that he ran. Everything that he was able to do was not a guy that was a rookie. He looked like a guy that was out there as a veteran doing his job, holding down the fort. And as I watched him as the game went on, he just got better and better and better. And to say he looked comfortable from jump. I mean, I talk about it all the time in the preseason. What can you tell from a rookie in the preseason? Well, the only thing I look for that I think is legitimate is whether or not they look like they're ready for the moment. Ready or not, they look like they belong. That's the only thing you can really look at in the preseason and go, for a rookie, that's it. All right, good. I know that, these guys are fast. These guys are strong, all that stuff. But looking like they belong, that is exactly what you want to see in the preseason. Well, it's the same thing in week 1. This was a bigger than average game. It wasn't just week one. You had to go down to Brazil. You have the guys around you, a lot of new guys with a new defensive coordinator. You go down there, you have a huge game against an NFC rival, an NFC team that you could be facing in the conference championship game, a playoff team last year. And you go out there and it gets a good quarterback in Jordan Love, and you're taking away balls from his receivers. That's great. And I know they got a really young core over there in Green Bay. Christian Watson, I think, is this guy. But Quentin Mitchell went out there and just looked like a seasoned veteran against those guys, and it was his first game as a pro. If you weren't blown away by that, I don't know what to tell you. Again, perfect? No, but pretty damn good. I'd say fantastic for an NFL debut. Way to go, rookie. After the game, Jalen Hurts, as I mentioned earlier, took responsibility for the turnovers. Nick Sirianni made sure to thank Brazil and Sao Paulo for a wonderful time. Talked about how proud he was of his guys. And turnovers are something they got to work on. Look, I am thrilled with the fight I saw on the Eagles, the ability to close out a game with Saquon Barkley, the way the defense really stood up the Packers in the red zone despite the turnovers from the offense in the early goings of the game. The middle portion of the game, defense obviously struggled. That's when they were throwing haymakers against one another, as I mentioned. But I absolutely love what I saw from the Eagles. Literally the only thing that haunts me in a negative way from week one is the decisions of Jalen Hurts and the turnovers. It's the only thing that haunts me. Even the fumble lost, which is what's charged to the quarterback in a bad snap situation, for whatever reason that happened, even that, I feel like that's going to be okay, because I think Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts will be on the same page. And you would see the errant snaps every once in a while from Jason Kelce as well. That does happen. Unfortunately, it happens, but it happens. But the decision-making from the quarterback is what I was hoping would be something in this game we would really help turn the page on. When I was listing my top 5 things going into this game on Friday morning, one of the things I talked about was the turnovers. You got to get rid of the turnovers. You didn't get rid of the turnovers. And you can't. I've said this whole year with Jalen Hurts, there's no excuse. I don't want to hear at the end of this year if the Eagles are a barely above 500 team or barely a team to make it in the playoffs and Jalen Hurts has another 15 interceptions. I don't want to hear, well, you need a second year in the offense to really see what Jalen Hurts can do. Like, no. To take that excuse, throw it away. I don't want to hear it. With the weapons around you, there should be a pretty easy learning curve. And as we saw in this week one game, when in doubt, get it to Barkley. When in doubt, get it to Saquon Barkley. Because that is your playmaker. That is your fail-safe. That is your security blanket. And there were too many times, I'll say, where last year we watched this Philadelphia Eagles team play and they forced situations. They don't have to force anything. A very easy, a very simple check down to Saquon Barkley, and you're off and running. Saquon Barkley, it was a total of 24 carries, 26 touches, which is insane because before the game, Derek Gunn was saying, you got to get this guy 25 touches a game. Not carries, touches. And he got 26. 24 carries, ain't bad either. With a 3-touchdown game, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Do you even want to hear about the Phillies? Do we even want to go there? It was terrible. Be glad you were watching football if you were watching football. Because the holy Lord, the Phillies are just terrible. All I'll say is they had an opportunity to win the series with Aaron Nola on the hill. That's the game they should have won. Aaron Nola threw, I think, 101 pitches through 4 2/3. Not ideal. Yeah. Let's get Alec Bohm back healthy soon. Oh, one thing is worth talking about. Bryce Harper has been hitting the ball very well. Over 300, on-base percentage has been great over the last month. Basically, ever since we found out about the elbow and the wrist injury, I mean, he hasn't hit a home run in the month, I know, which is huge. But it really looks like he shouldn't be playing baseball. I know the results are there as far as him getting hits, but when I see your MVP barely be able to swing a bat through the zone in certain instances, that kind of makes me think he shouldn't play. And I know in the same game, first at bat of the game yesterday, he goes up there and he swings. And he's like, oh, God. And he just swung at a slider low and away. He chased it. And then he kind of stopped swinging halfway through because I think his elbow fell apart. You know what I mean? Right now, I feel like I'm watching Bryce Harper. And you remember that scene in Forrest Gump when Forrest Gump is a little kid? And it's the first time you hear, run, Forrest, run. And Jenny's running at him. And like Forrest Gump's legs are or his braces are falling apart off his legs. And things are just being left behind as he's running. He's falling apart. That's what Bryce Harper reminds me of right now. Like things are just falling off of Bryce Harper right now as he's trying to play the sport. And he's trying to swing a bat. And the first inning, he takes a hack. And he just, oh, God. He like grabs his elbow. I was like, yeah, maybe this guy shouldn't be playing. And then later in the game, he almost hits his first home run of the month. He got a single in the game. He got 2 hits for you yesterday. Plays still one hell of first base. I'm just like, this guy shouldn't be playing. If Alec Boehm comes back, does Bryce Harper then go on the IL for a minute? Edmundo Sosa is now on the IL. Alec Boehm's on the IL. Bryce Harper's banged up. They got a rough series coming up here. They got the Rays for 3, so hopefully they don't play down to their opponent. They play well at home, and they beat the Rays 3 games out of 3. Christopher Sanchez gets the ball today at 6:40. Then they got 3. Now, this is the rough run that the Phillies have. Okay, listen to this. They got 3 coming up against the Mets at home. Then they go to Milwaukee against the Brewers for a 3-game series. That's tough. And then they got 4 in Flushing against the Mets again. Those aren't going to be – that's not going to be an easy 7-game stretch against the Mets. That's not going to be an easy 10-game stretch. 3 against the Mets, 3 against the Brew Crew on the road, 4 against the Mets in New York. Hopefully they don't flush the season's on toilet in Flushing. Hey, let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Take advantage of all MyBookie has to offer at MyBookie.ag. Download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. How about the incredible people at the Game Time app? Want to go to the game? Want to go to the concert? Want to go to the comedy show? You can do it all at the Game Time app. And now the Game Time app has a fantastic feature. The Game Time app has Game Time picks. That allows you to toggle and push away all the fluff just to get down to the nitty-gritty, just to get down to the best seats at the best prices at the Game Time app. And here's the thing. Use promo code Farzy, that's promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. You can also toggle the all-in pricing feature so that you can see exactly what you're paying before checkout. So there's no sticker shock. Oh, my goodness. How did these $20 tickets become $40? What happened? Wow, my goodness. No, not on the Game Time app. You toggle the all-in pricing. You know exactly what you're paying before you check out. And also, you take the guesswork out of buying tickets when you view the seat before you buy it. So you know your vantage point before you purchase your tickets. On the Game Time app, download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. One more thing on the Phillies. Thank you. Let's get to the chat check and see how your wonderful people are doing on this fine Monday morning. IBH, good morning. April, we're back. Some technical issues start things off, and we're back. IBH, hello. Dynasty, or let's go Dynasty. 215, what's going on? We can see you. Here I am, going straight off the computer. I believe the term is raw. No, all right, anyway. Sean, what's going on, Sean? IBH. Eagles postgame show. Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Sean Kilray, hello, everyone. AOL. It does feel like it. It does feel like it. Sean, Hurts has many weapons, doesn't need to make these stupid decisions no more. I agree. You and I are on the same page. K. Crowley, what's going on? Sean, facts. He has all the weapons in the world. There is no reason for him to still be playing hero ball. Hill's post-game speech was very classy. I would not have blamed him if he took it the other way. April. I loved what Tyreek Hill had to say afterwards. Like, that was a great thing. Like, that looked really bad. And I don't want to get into the details of it, but it just looked really, really bad. And one of the police officers has been put on administrative leave. And Tyreek Hill took the high road afterwards. He didn't call out anybody. He said, "This is a great opportunity for me to improve on a situation. Hopefully, me and Miami-Dade, we can be on the same page with this, and we can make a positive out of this." And I'm like, "Good for you, dude. Good for you." The celebration was hilarious. I laugh out loud at that. Hans Hustler, Browns need to rebuild after that collapse against Dallas. Do you call that a collapse? I mean, they were just terrible. I mean, most of you guys know this. I married into a Browns family. People from Cleveland. My wife's not from Cleveland, but her parents are. I hope they crash and burn. Not my in-laws, the Browns. Like, to go after Deshaun Watson the way that they did after finally going to the playoffs and winning the playoffs with Baker Mayfield, like, serves you right. Serves you right. James Alexander, what's going on? That performance by Saquon was amazing. Jalen Hurts just has to reduce it. Yeah, that's it. Just reduce turnovers. Just the turnovers are a pretty big deal. It's early in the season. He'll get better. I hope so. Eagles need a steady pass rush. Giants fans are big mad. Yes, they are. Wait a minute. What? Sean Kilrain. Jalen Hurts 106, 2020. Randall Cunningham 90. 1985 Trey Lance. What are the numbers you're giving me here? What are the numbers you're giving me, Sean? Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes is terrible. Jonathan here. You got balls, that's all I know. Tate, bad decisions can't be blamed on our offensive coordinator now. And it's a definite worry. Yeah, Tate. All we're doing is acknowledging that there's still a problem. One of the things I was really looking forward to in this game was to go, oh, look, Jalen Hurts, can protect the football, didn't make dumb decisions. Like, I could deal with a dumb decision. Even the first interception, Xavier McKinney picks him off. It was a dumb decision. It was an awful throw, dumb decision. Picked it off. After that, I'm like, okay, well, hopefully that's it with the dumb decisions. It wasn't. Then he had the red zone problem. Stupid. Wait, the Eagles lost? What? Dynamic Prodigy threw it under due to the safety over the top. Yeah, but I think if he airs that ball out, you still win that battle, especially if you throw to the farther side of the field and take the receiver over there. Like, I've seen Jalen Hurts make that throw. I think it was Devontae Smith. I've seen him win that speed route or speed. I've seen him win that race. William Galbraith. Okay. And those passes to Smith were nice too. Yes. He does throw some beauties. Yes, he does. Oh boy. James Alexander. Chip Kelly. Whoa. Chip Kelly said he hates the Eagles fans because he lost all his power. At the end of the day, we don't care. Really? Chip Kelly said that? I didn't see that. I must have seen Chip Kelly's name and be like, don't care. Wine Niners wine. Great to see you. Sorry, Farzy Cheerios 4-0. Opening game, so no preseason for starters in the future. Yeah, probably. Sean, playing the starters in the preseason would have helped to eliminate errors and pay off at the end of the season. Yeah, I just don't want turnovers, you know? VH, what's going on? Got a bounder for Q. That trash talking play defending this son of a B. Love this game. Yeah. If it was last year's defense, it would have been 14-0 and would have been a game over. Yeah, I agree with that. Elaine. Hello, Elaine. Eagles looked really good. A little rusty due to no preseason practice. They call the practices are just like games, they say. Norman, what was it? The Phillies classic throwaway game? I think that's fair to say. I'm seeing on wait, is he in the chat too? No? All right. Joe on Twitter is telling me, my man Joe, Saquon deserves meatballs. He does deserve meatballs. Good morning, Farzy, top of the division. That's all that matters. Norman, 7-minute drive to close out the game when up by only 5 is underappreciated. I agree. I love typos. Okay. Hold on. This is what I saw. Do you think Japan gets involved more? Well, I don't know. I can't really say more about. I don't know. I don't know about Japan. But then it's like Jahan. Thank you, all cards. Oh no, this is what I love. I love seeing the Dallas Cowboys win huge yesterday because then they get so excited. It's so adorable to watch them get all excited. I'd rather have a tougher win like the Eagles. You know what I mean? Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Thanks everyone that stuck it out in the beginning of the show. I don't know. I'll just throw my computer against the wall. I think that's how that works. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel as well, where you catch me and Gunner pre and post game on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel, as well as 6abc.com, all Eagles season long. Where did it end up? Oh, one last thing on the weekend. Tom Brady, I thought it was okay as a broadcaster. Good first game. Here's what a little bumpy out of the gate, but I never noticed how annoying Tom Brady's voice is. I've listened to Tom Brady a lot, obviously, over the last 20-some years. I never noticed he's got a really annoying voice. I am annoyed by Tom Brady. I find his voice annoying. I'll drop the bass a little bit there, bro. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzetta about bookie.ag. I want to trust you to everybody. I like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. See you guys tonight on the Locked On Phillies postcast on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. See you guys as well.